All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to what is the first episode in the Collegiate Esports Experience podcast. We are here at Rockford University's Regents Esports Lab.
Regents reign, baby.
Yes, sir. I am Clay Duffy. This is Tanner Elliott. We're excited to be working with you all here on this new and hopefully exciting podcast. Right?
I sure hope so. Yeah.
This is obviously the pilot episode, and we're going to give you guys a bit of a background on kind of what brought us into the esports world, give you some just a brief run through of how our esports program kind of came into fruition, and just talk about collegiate esports a little bit. So I guess I'll kind of kick it off, briefly introduce myself. My name is Clay Duffy. I'm actually a professor of leadership and management and kind of just general business here at Rockford University. I am what we would call the faculty advisor now, right? That's a new role for me here. I'm super excited about that. And I've been involved in esports for, God, what's it been? It's hard to like think about when you set yourself in esports, right? In this program, yeah. Because I mean, we've played video games our entire life, and to a certain extent, we've played, at a competitive level. I don't mean high competitive level, but like. You compete, right? Tournaments, team, LANs, things like that.
Ranked. We're playing ranked forever, so.
Let's be very, very clear. Games. I don't have to be in a professional setting to take a game serious. If you see me at League of Legends ranked at my house, it gets ugly sometimes.
It is professional setting.
Right? Myself, at least with Regents Esports here, I actually was fortunate enough to be a part of the process that worked and brought the Collegiate Esports program here to the university, and we'll get more into that later. And I'm just really excited to work with you, Tanner, and learn more from other experts and people that are involved in esports in general, but particularly this higher education realm, right? Absolutely. Tanner, tell us a little bit about yourself, sir.
My name is Tanner Elliott. I am the new first full-time esports director here at Rockford University. My esports journey kind of started at Rockford, and like Clay said, we'll get into that in more detail a little bit later. But I've been playing games since PS1, I guess. Probably even before then. I had a GameCube. Obviously, I grew up, just like most of you guys did, playing video games. Going home on a Wednesday afternoon and launching that PS2 and playing Battlefront, and then launching from that all the way into Collegiate Siege. Where my experience kind of started. Fell in love with esports with that way. And now here I sit, and I help direct the program that Clay started. I'm on his back, so very excited to be here. Very excited to talk to other esports professionals, maybe even some students, and hear what their perspectives are at collegiate esports. So.
Absolutely. I think it's what interested us when we were starting this and kind of working on this. What was this, last semester when we started talking about this and a little bit of a text chain, and it's the idea that we can have so many different people in here, right? I mean, we could have esports directors come and join us. We could have students. We could have students who are, I mean, it would even be interesting, at least I think, to have students who are in the recruiting phase and learn more from them about what they look for in a collegiate program, right? As well as, high school coaches and other people that are just involved. We were at the NACE conference this summer, people that actually put on events and things like that. I just think there's so much value in all of these people and what we do for the esports industry. I don't mean to go off on a side note here, but you mentioned Battlefront 2, and I'm just, was it Battlefront 2 or was it Battlefront 1? It'd be 1, right?
On the PS1, it was Battlefront 1.
Yeah, that took me way back. I forgot all about that, and now I'm like...
That's my core memory gaming moment.
I remember my specific friend's basement that I played it in, right? And we had the weirdest dynamic there because it was that game a lot, right? But then we'd be like, I'm bored with this. Let's go play... it was NCAA college baseball.
Oh, yep.
But you would just go back and forth.
I remember another one is James Bond, like GoldenEye.
Yeah.
Golden Finger or whatever it was.
Absolutely.
That was a big one for me, but... kind of getting back on track just a little bit.
I bring us off track, sorry.
It's more than just also like Rockford University. I know we both work for Rockford. We're in Rockford's Esports Lab. But it's collegiate esports as an entirety, I think. I want to hear from everybody, not just people who are involved here. I think the audience is so big for that, and the potential's there. So
let me ask you this, Tanner. Let's start this off. And what brought you to esports in general? I'm sure it's quite a few things, but what really made you look at it as like a potential career outlet and something, or even not necessarily a career thing, but just something where you want to put your passion and your time into?
Absolutely. Yeah, I started in 2019 when the program was founded. We had a couple of buddies that played Rainbow Six Siege. We actually showed up to Clay and were like, hey, we want to start a Siege team. Clay's like, no way. Like, not in like a discouraging way, but more of a like who plays, what is Siege, it wasn't really familiar at the time. And we got 5 guys together and we played. We actually did pretty well. Playoffs a few times, and from there, I really just fell in love with the community. Fell in love with the way that I made friends gaming here. I talk to them every day still. So from that, it transitioned into passion for the program. I was a student here, transitioned from student to graduate assistant. Graduate assistant time came, I picked up the slack a little bit. Esports, social media, scheduling, some certain events and stuff. And then I guess I found more of a passion more and more with this program just because there was a need for it. I saw that people come in the lab smiling, they'd be having fun, they'd be winning games. And that's an environment that I think kind of misunderstood in esports just a little bit.
Big time.
People think it's just gaming. It's more than that. And that's kind of the message I want to express across the board, is that esports for me really became an outlet for who I am as a person. It was, my dad likes to make the joke that I made a liar out of him because I'd never make money playing video games. Where I sit, I'm watching guys play Valorant right now, and playing in with them. I get to do a little coaching. It's just a passion.
Yeah, it to a certain extent, I don't mean to get preachy here, but oftentimes being involved with something like this, it feels like a dream come true to a certain extent, right? Like 10, 15 years ago, I was obviously still interested in video gaming. It was very much a huge part of my life, but you never would have actually looked yourself in the mirror and been like, I bet in 10, 15 years, I'm going to run a collegiate esports program, or I'm going to...
In 2005, if I said that, well, first of all, esports wasn't into that. Maybe with some Warcraft really early, but if I went back 10 years ago, this job didn't exist.
Yeah, and let alone, I mean, making a career out of it, but even just like, man, when you stream on Twitch, and you know, I did that for a very, very long time, and you get a little check in the mail, right? You know, I certainly wasn't getting thousands and thousands of bucks, but you get a $65 check, $100 check, or somebody drops some subs to you. It just, I don't know, it makes you feel good that your passion or your interest in video gaming, as well as kind of career success or just your overall life and well-being, are meeting together. I think is really, really cool. For me, esports is, I look at esports the same way that I look at a lot of things. I try to look at kind of the holistic viewpoint of like what we can get out of it, right? And what interests me about esports and really got me to start taking it, I don't want to say start taking it serious, because I think I always did to a certain extent, but really be like, oh, this is actually a part of my career, is that it's so much more than just playing video games. That is at its core what we look at, right? That's what we think of. But there is so much more that goes on behind the scenes, whether that's giving, like you mentioned, you know, attested to earlier, right? Giving students this safe environment, or this collaborative and meaningful environment to meet friends and be there, right? But also, you know, me with my business background and teaching and things like that, right? Like, what does this offer for my students? It offers my marketing students a chance to work on social media, graphic design, content creation. It offers communication students. It offers event management and sports management students the ability to, you know, potentially work with you to plan a LAN, or to plan a trip to a tournament or anything like that. And I just think it's such a neat tool, specifically in higher education, right? Because there's just so much benefit. Any esports team is going to be great because it's something meaningful for those people to work together towards a common goal. But in higher education, it's so much more than playing just video games, right? It's a retention tool. It's what makes people feel welcome at this university and every other university across the globe, right? And then, you know, for me personally, I think video games have always just been a pretty big part of my life. You know, I've been on podcasts before. I've talked about mental health and things like that. And if you're having a rough day or having a rough patch in life, right? One of the things, and I'm very fortunate to have a wonderful support system around me, right? But as well as I have kind of that comfort of video games to fall back on. You're stressed out, you know, you take an hour break, kind of go immerse yourself in whatever video game it is at the time that you're invested in, right? Mine would be League of Legends, yours would be Siege, but we've had everything from Minecraft to Rocket League back here.
Absolutely, yeah.
And I just think it's just a great kind of reset or break from reality. And I don't mean to go too deep into that, but it really is. It was just a fun tool for me to kind of go through some things in life.
Yeah, I can relate with that. I was pretty bullied, going through middle school, high school, and when I get home, the thing I only want to do is get on the game and talk to my friends because space it was safe, and that's kind of what the environment I want to build here. A safe space. I got people from all over the world that come in here from France, Japan, Texas, Florida, whatever. They're in here playing games together as a collective group. It's safe.
Yeah, I just, again, it goes back to like, it serves a higher purpose for me, right? Don't get me wrong. I love the competitive aspect. I like learning about, in my case, League of Legends, like, watching videos, learning about a new jungle path or the next item or the next patch. But it's also just like a human thing of me that I enjoy and something like that. Do we want to take some time, maybe talk about how we came to fruition here at Rockford University and the process with that? Because I'm sure there are many programs out there, and from what I've seen, obviously there are programs that have the school resources and have the support from the school to have an official program like we do, right? But there are also people out there who might be listening to this where they're a student or they're a faculty advisor, kind of in my role, but it's just students getting together with their own equipment, or students
playing in their dorms or something.
Exactly, right? And they might be in the process of maybe we can make this something at our university, and so. I'll take us back to, was it 2019? That would have been 2019. We were in a student life meeting. I don't know if you were there or not. You were.
No, I was still a student. I was a sophomore at the time, I think. So yeah, still a student at this point.
I often forget that I'm not crazy older than you, but like we're not just like 25 and 26. You know what I mean? And I was in a student life meeting, and our athletic director and some other people had gone to an NCAA meeting, or a conference, essentially, basically like the yearly conference or annual conference. And they came back and they were kind of giving a report on that and all the fun stuff that they had learned and talked about. And they briefly brought up esports, right? They were like, some colleges are doing this. And as you can imagine, back, even in 2019, which doesn't seem so far away, way back then, right? It was kind of like I don't know how I feel about this yet, right? Well, I was in my graduate assistant role here prior to going and doing more education, and I just sent an email. I sent an email to some of the people that were involved, and I said, hey, I love this stuff, right? I could talk about this stuff all day. Let me know if you need anything. And we moved fast. I mean, the willingness to take this and run with it and make it a part of campus was... I mean, we move quick here a lot, right? We're always doing great things here, and not to toot our own horn, right? But it happened quick. I mean, within the next 5 or 6 months, we had a facility. We had all of this stuff, and I was fortunate enough to get to run the program for that last year of my graduate degree here. And man, that was a learning opportunity for sure. It was that's a whole other animal, right? Running a program that has just started with no time to recruit is really interesting. It was fun because all the students that you had there are doing it purely out of passion, right? I mean, you didn't recruit them there. They're coming, they love the game and they just want to play, but it is interesting being like, hey, we're just forming a team, right? I just need 5 players who can show up and play. And then obviously, as you know, but I went on to continue education and stuff so that I could become a professor. And now I'm back here at Rockford University, and Tanner has graciously accepted me to still be around and be a part of the program, which is wonderful.
For reference on how fast it moved, in May there wasn't space here, and in July or August when we came back, computers. So that it moved quick.
Do you want to go over kind of and talk about what is in our facility and what that planning? I can maybe hit in on what the planning was like, but you're here, you're running it all now. What all do we have, and what's kind of about the facility?
Yeah, for sure. So right now we're running high spec PCs. We have 16 very nice fancy PCs with 3090s, Ryzen 9, 64 gigs of RAM. a very cool air cooled. We don't have liquid cooling, but air cooled. I guess that's really all the specs people care about. I mean, we run high performance, nice monitors with giant monitors and Secret Lab chairs. Those are brand new. So we actually use the money from the old computers which were sold by the. There's kind of a stigma that you have to upfront all this cost. And that's not necessarily the case that we ran into. We had a lot of support from alumni, trustees, and donors actually really supported our program. So colleges that are looking maybe to do something like this, my best advice would be just reach out to your alumni and see if there's any.
Right. And I mean, especially in tech field, if there's anybody that could even get you stuff at a cheaper rate or whether it's free or a donation or whatever it is, but reach out to your networks and look at who you have in your university, right? Because you're right. It's easy for a university or something like that to look and be like, oh, wow, this is, $60,000 or whatever they're going to spend, right? Yes, that's a high cost that you and I both know can repay itself, right? But it is daunting and it is kind of intimidating when you see it on paper. But then when you think about it and realize that you have potential avenues of support, because in alumni and your donor network and trustees and just people that are connected, they all have their own passions, right? And that's what we found out. We found out that we had people in our network that see the value in this specifically, right? They support the university as a whole, but when they see something like this, that's just truly, they believe in it. You have those people. And I truly believe that every institution probably has those people somewhere, right?
Easily. I mean, one of our donors, for example, her son was really big into esports and honestly probably changed his life. And she felt that passion through him inspired her. She didn't really even attend for a program that sees benefit for others. Sit out here and game and form community. We have the experience that her son.
Yeah, and I don't want to switch gears here too quickly, but talking about this podcast, I know we've given a bit of a background of ourselves and kind of what we are fortunate enough to do here at Rockford University. But in terms of this podcast, we mentioned it early on, but I think there's a lot of different ways we could take this, a lot of great people that we could have on here and a lot of things that we could do. But Tanner, let me ask you this. What would be, if you had one overarching goal when we're starting this, right? We can shoot for the sky here, right? This is the pilot episode. We don't know where this is going yet, right? But what would be kind of your vision and your goal for this podcast and what people can expect?
Honestly, I think my biggest goal is just to. I always say there's a stigma. Well, there's people that think that kids that come in and play video games are in here long, they don't do anything. Honestly, much more. But I really want to get rid of that stigma. That sports, there could be healthy planning, diets. There's more than just playing games, especially when you're forming a collegiate. I want to get that healthy esports.
Yeah, because it, like you mentioned, it is very much there, right? I mean, it's no secret. I mean, I guess it is a secret to some. Then looking at that stigma and things like that. For me, I think this is just, I wholeheartedly agree with what you just mentioned, but I also think this is just a great opportunity for us to learn, right? Whether that's you and I, anybody who listens and views this podcast or people that are interested, I think it's just really cool to learn. The reason that I say that is, we went to this NACE conference and it was so cool to just get to learn from people. I mean, I have my own background in starting and running this program, as do you, and you still can get in a room with people who do the same thing as you, but they don't do it the same way. Absolutely. And they also have different priorities, different perspectives, and I just think that that's really, really cool. And I think this is where the professor in me is going to come out a little bit. I think it would be fun to have discussions where we might have differing perspectives, right? I think that's healthy in general, but I think in esports, as we're building this industry, as we're building this environment, this collegiate environment, there's a lot of debate. There's a lot of disagreement on things. And I think that that's perfectly healthy, right? As long as it's done in a professional and respectful way. And so I think it'll be interesting to get deferring perspectives on things, right? One topic that comes to mind to me, and we won't dig into it this episode, but like, should programs be forced to reschedule, right, or be more flexible with the schedule? I know I have my own thoughts on that, as do you, and I think that there's value in both sides of that argument, right? And just kind of working on topics like that and things like that for the overall betterment of collegiate esports would probably be what I'm most excited for. I'm going to give you one more think piece here. Okay.
I like think pieces.
You're settling into this esports director role, right? When was it? July? Mm-hmm. July you officially started. Obviously you've been with the program for a long time. What, in your academic year as an esports director, if you had one goal, right? What would that be?
I think that's tough. Because like you said, I haven't been here for too long. But I can say, as a student who was in esports, I want to be able to be a resource not only for my student success in their academics. So if they're struggling, hold up. Oh, thought I was muted. But if they're struggling academically, I want to make sure that they're safe and they. And in the same regard,
I really like that.
Send them to you. I want a team that's healthy in their academic success.
I really like that. And I think that speaks to just who you are as a person, but what universities should be for in general, right? Whether that's esports, football, student government, anything that students, right? The most important thing is that we're giving these students a platform to succeed, learn, develop, and become sustainably successful. And I think that esports is really a new tool that can be used to make students feel comfortable and feel welcome on campus, right? Because if you think go back to when we were kids, right? Video games weren't viewed as like this super overly positive thing, right? And so for students to actually hear that, hey, this is accepted and this is okay here, and this is going to help you in X, Y, and Z, and you're welcome here, I think is a really powerful thing. For me, I just, obviously, I'm going to go just towards the faculty side of things. I think for me is I just want the academic success of all of your athletes. I want them to, success, obviously, right? But I want them to become passionate about whatever it is they want to learn, okay? And however I can help them do that, whether that's in my own realm in business, or if we have a nursing student, or, anything in between that, I just want them to find kind of their little niche and enjoy it here outside of esports as well, which is, again, super important thing, and success in that is important as well. But I really think my overarching goal, and it's hard to, it's not really tangible, right? You can't quantify it, but I would say that's where probably my priorities would be for this semester. So, pilot episode. Yeah. I think we've done enough, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I think at least for us two, just talking about ourselves.
I had fun. I had a good time.
I could do this all day.
I could talk about esports all day, every day.
I know.
And,
yeah. Sorry in advance. Yeah. Right. Well, we're approaching the end of what is episode 1, pilot episode of Collegiate Esports Experience. What can they expect from us, right? How many times are we going to upload a week, you think?
Oh, I think once probably.
Yeah, one a week. We're going to shoot.
Keep an eye on our social media. Able to find there and XP, right? That's our
Collegiate XP on Twitter and Collegiate Esports XP on YouTube.
There you go. Yep.
That'll be where you'll find all of our resources and all that fun stuff. You can come make fun of us, and harass us on Twitter. We love Twitter, right? Or X, whatever.
Give me that interactions. I don't even know what it's called anymore.
I'm going to call it Twitter forever.
It's like the Sears Tower.
Yeah, right. So. Well, ladies and gentlemen, thank you for your interest in this podcast. We're very, very excited and fortunate to have this kind of starting up and something for us to talk about, something we're so passionate about. We will see you guys next week on Collegiate Esports Experience.